From MTN News, you're watching Montana This Morning.
Vets sound off to the Veteran Affairs Secretary and Senator Jon Tester, what they told both in Billings last night, just ahead.
Plus, Governor Greg Gianforte tests positive for COVID-19. Coming up, learn how he is handling word of the infection.
Some updates to the local emergency rules in Gallatin County. I'm Gabby Crevitt, and coming up, I'll let you know all the details from the Board of Health meeting.
Well, it is 6:30 on this Tuesday. Chet Lehman, Holly Brantley, Matt Elwell, and continued chubby snow outside. Accumulations.
Chubby rain, Chet.
Well, chubby rain, right. Well, it's not really, it's just now starting to look like snow in the landscape timbers outside.
It's a little frumpy.
Yeah, and this is what we're dealing with. Temperatures right on the fringe of the freezing mark, so we are seeing that snow out there. Really not a big effect on the concrete necessarily, but there may be some icy spots throughout the morning and possibly late morning as well. Most of this is east of the divide, not seeing much west of the divide. In fact, our skies are clearing in Butte right now, off and on showers through the mid to late part of the morning, and then things should really clear out. It may be a little sloppy for part of the day. We are seeing some fog in parts of the area. Daytime highs should build nicely right into that 50-degree range by the mid-afternoon. Look how beautiful it is this morning in Butte, Montana. Love it. Daytime temperatures should well be into the 40s for the afternoon. We're going to break down what you can expect for the rest of the weekend, your weekend ahead, in just a few minutes.
Well, thank you, Matt. Veterans issues in Montana took center stage in Billings last night.
Veteran Affairs Secretary Dennis McDonough and U.S. Senator Jon Tester held a roundtable discussion to hear veterans' concerns about VA medical care. MTN's Mitch Loggy was there.
On the Montana State University Billings campus Monday, Veterans Affairs Secretary Dennis McDonough, along with Senator Jon Tester, had a roundtable discussion to hear veterans' experiences with the VA healthcare system.
Our delivery of services and care in our rural communities is a fundamental priority for the department. And so I really wanted to hear directly from you about that.
Reporters were allowed into the MSUB Glacier Room to hear opening remarks from Tester and McDonough, but were asked to leave the room during the discussion to allow the veterans to speak freely. Both men gave short interviews after the event. Senator Tester said a common theme that he heard from the veterans in attendance was that there needs to be wider access to mental health care for veterans in Montana.
There's a lot of opportunities out there thinking outside the box for mental health. I think that's solid. It wasn't amongst everybody. I think we also heard how good the VA is doing in certain areas, and I think that's good. We heard that VA is a preferred health care amongst many of the folks here, and we also heard that there's some challenges out there. Things aren't perfect every day, and we have some things we can improve. I thought it was a very fruitful event.
Another problem vets called out is a high turnover rate among medical staff and trouble with retention.
But this is a major challenge, and we're going to have to stay on top of it. We heard some of that frustration today, and that's why we're making it the priority that we're making.
In the coming months, Tester said he expects the VA to experience a wave of new appointments that were postponed or rescheduled due to the COVID-19 pandemic.
I think there's a lot of healthcare out there where people haven't got healthcare in the last year that will be stepping up and wanting healthcare, so there's going to be a lot of pressure on the VA from that angle.
In Billings, Mitch Laggy, MTN News.
Now, Mitch tells us this was McDonough's first trip to Montana since assuming his role in February. He and Senator Tester will host similar listening sessions with vets at Montana State University and the Montana Veterans Home in Butte later today.
Meantime, Governor Greg Gianforte is home in Bozeman after testing positive for COVID-19. The governor's office says he had some mild symptoms on Sunday and was tested, and results came back positive. First Lady Susan Gianforte is showing no symptoms, has been tested, and is waiting for her results to come back. Following medical advice, the governor is isolating for 10 days. All the people the governor may have come in contact with closely have been notified. The governor's in-person events have also been canceled. The governor will continue to work and manage the state's business from home. The governor's staff will be tested this morning. The governor just got his first COVID-19 vaccine at the pharmacy in Helena. That was last Thursday. When he lifted the mask mandate for Montana, the governor preached personal responsibility for taking the precautions necessary to avoid the virus.
Staying on that same topic now, Gallatin City County Board of Health is extending the local mask mandate.
MTN's Gabby Crevitt has the latest on a lot of Gallatin County COVID rule updates.
On Monday morning, the Board of Health voted 7-2 to extend the emergency face covering rule until May 27th.
I'm hopeful that we'll be able to rescind it sooner, but I don't want us to be in a situation where we're left without a mask mandate when we actually really need one.
Health Officer Matt Kelly reported COVID-19 cases in Gallatin County were trending upward since the last meeting and told board members he recommended keeping the mask rule. Board members in support of keeping the mask rule and Kelly agreed they'd welcome revisiting the rule again in early May. But board member and Gallatin County Commissioner Joe Skinner said it's time to start lifting the rules now.
It's time to let up on some of these restrictions. Hospitals in the county are not full of virus patients. There's adequate capacity. I don't doubt that if we take away all of these restrictions that there will be a certain uptick in cases, but I don't think we're going to overwhelm the hospital because of it.
The Board of Health also voted 8-1 to amend the Phase 2 reopening rule, which increases the maximum party size at tables to 8 people for indoor group events and for restaurants, bars, coffee shops, bowling alleys, distilleries, and casinos. It also decreases the minimum distancing between bar stools from 6 feet to 3 feet. Capacity would remain at 50% for these establishments, but members of the board say they plan to revisit the topic in early May.
This is, for me, the hardest rule to find solutions to, because it really impacts people's livelihood in a number of ways. We take that really very seriously.
The Board of Health also voted unanimously to rescind the quarantine and isolation rule and to rescind the rule for limited visitation at nursing homes and assisted living facilities in Gallatin County. This removes the enforcement mechanism for the rules. However, the health officer guidelines still stand.
We're going to continue to do contact tracing. We're going to continue to ask people to go into isolation and quarantine to reduce the risk of spread. And we're going to continue asking, through my health officer order, long-term care facilities to honor that 14-day rule.
Reporting in Gallatin County, Gabby Crevitt, MTN News.
The mask mandate in Montana was issued by Governor Steve Bullock on July 15th of 2020. That's 264 days. The Gallatin City County Board of Health went into an emergency rule for masks on July 24th, 2020. The Board of Health is now extending the mask rule to May 27th, but is willing to revisit it at the beginning of May.
Now, Butte Silver Bow Health Department put its mask mandate into effect July 15th when the governor made it mandatory. It was on February 12th of this year that Governor Greg Gianforte lifted the mask mandate, saying he wanted to emphasize personal responsibility, but allowed counties to choose to continue their own mandates. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention first called on Americans to wear masks to prevent COVID-19 a day before Bullock's order, which was back on July 14th.
Other state headlines: former Montana Governor Stan Stevens has died. Stevens, a Republican, was elected in 1988, ending a 20-year run of Democratic governors in Montana. He chose not to run for re-election in 1992 because of health concerns. He was succeeded as governor by Republican Mark Roscoe. Stevens was a radio station owner and former state senator from Havre. He had been living in Kalispell at the time of his death. Stevens was 91 years old. There's no word yet on funeral arrangements for the former governor.
Very nice man, and a pretty good trumpet player too, by the way.
And awesome.
6:38 now. Some elementary, junior high students in Butte held a food drive for those in need. Butte Central Catholic School students turned over more than 250 food items to the Butte Emergency Food Bank and Montana Tech's new food pantry. Students spent the last month collecting food items as a way of community service.
We chose Tech, the food bank, because a lot of people are struggling through the hard time, and Tech because some of the students who don't have much money can also get some food too.
We're told Montana Tech is grateful for the donations to its pantry, which just started earlier this year.
Accelerate Anaconda raised $6,000 for the Artway Alley project for downtown Anaconda. Joe Fuller with Montana Resources donated $500, contributing to the project. The project is expected to start in summer. Accelerate Anaconda is still looking for volunteers and donors to help with the project, so visit our website and you can find a link. Nice.
That would be cool to see that get going. I love it.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
Well, as an idea of paying college athletes to play gets debated, some athletic directors are warning it could hurt women's sports. Why they say that is, that story's coming up.
But first, here's Gail King with a look at what's coming up at 7 o'clock on CBS This Morning.
Good morning to you. Ahead on CBS This Morning, Baylor wins the NCAA men's basketball title Foiling Gonzaga's bid for perfection, we'll be joined by the Final Four's most outstanding player, that's Jared Butler, who led the Bears to their historic victory. Also, GM plans to stop making gas-powered vehicles by 2035. First on CBS This Morning, we're going to get rare access to the automaker's new all-electric factory to see the future of car making. And what does it mean to be an adult? Still asking that question. We'll talk with the author of a new book who offers a guide to parents and kids on how to find success in the early stages of adulthood. Everybody's trying to grow up. We'll see you at 7 o'clock on the dot.